Hello, everybody. Hello, ladies, and welcome. I told myself it is just easier to go live a couple minutes early than to let that anxiety start to build. And it's like as many of these as I've done, you would think that I wouldn't be anxious anymore, but it's not about never having anxiety. It's about learning how to perform either over it, around it, or through it, right? So I am Twanna Carter. I am a career and anxiety coach. And I guess I could say my anxiety of choice, does that make sense? Really, I have social anxiety. And that is what I work every day to be sure I get around, I get over it, to perform and do the things that I would like to do, right? And so I am an anxiety and career coach, and I help women who are fed up with their anxiety holding them back. And what they want is to get over that doubt, to overcome that doubt and that fear, to get back on the fast track and get their life back on track for success and happiness, because you don't have to choose one over the other, right? You really don't. Sometimes society tells you that you do, you actually don't. You just got to know how to work it, right? And so that's what I do. I coach women who are figuring out their path and what it is they want to do and how to get over that fear and that doubt, right? So today I think I got a pretty good topic for you. It's something certainly that's on a lot of minds right now, because we got COVID-19 and we got Zoom meetings and we have Google Meets and we have Facebook Lives, we have TikTok, we have Instagram, we can go live on LinkedIn. So today's topic is, how do you protect yourself from the stress and anxiety that is caused by social media, right? It's tough, right? It can be really tough. So I do want to mention a couple things. There is a chat box. You can feel free to drop a message in there, drop a question. You have some more information, and I'll answer that for you while we are live. And I do want to say welcome to my YouTube viewers out there, and thank you for all of the Facebook viewers Facebook viewers who are joining in. And I also like to say a special thank you for all of those who catch me on the replay. Always appreciative of that, right? And there is a private chat, and I've never had anybody drop anything in it yet. But hey, if you private chat me, send me a message, I'll respond to that separately, right? Okay. So as always, I like to go through my series. It's a routine that I have, and really dealing with social anxiety, dealing with any kind of anxiety, is about finding the tools, popping them into place, and then using them so that it just becomes a habit and a routine right? To handle your anxiety that way. So I do have notes here that I'll be looking down and referencing. Not even sure you guys can see that, but for my little mind to keep it from being anxious, I like to let you know that there will be times, and I'll be looking over here to be sure that I am staying on topic and within the time that I've allotted to do these lives, right? And so without further ado, let's get started on our topic is, how do you handle it? Because there's, with COVID-19 and social distancing and quarantining, it's like, how do we not? How do you just let go of all social media, right? And you may not be able to even do that, right? So did you know that more than one third of the people, right? One third of the adult population who use social media say that it is hurting their mental health. Hmm. Something to think about, right? And about 5% of people using social media said it's positive. They're okay with it. It's okay, right? Then about 45% acknowledge that it's probably positive and negative. There are some positive effects of being on social media, and there are some negative effects, right? And since the advent of Facebook features in about 60 something percent of divorce cases. Think about that for a moment. When people go to get a divorce, and one of the reasons they list as they get a divorce, Facebook. So there's definitely some things going on. We have to acknowledge that. Yes, there's some positive things going on with social media, and then there's some not so positive things, right? And also, I could definitely say this: when it comes to all the stuff that's happened with COVID-19, we've actually come to depend more on social media than we ever have before. I don't know about you, but that's how I go to church. I go to church on social media. I love the church services at Apostolic Faith Brooklyn. That's who I listen to. And I listen to that on YouTube. It's social media. So, I'm meeting a spiritual need through social media by looking at church services online. So, yeah, there's some positives, some negatives there, right? And did you know that about 2/3 of people that responded to a survey believe that social media makes you feel isolated, and it kind of increases loneliness? And yeah, I could see that as well. I get people that come in to see me that complain just of this, right? Did you also know that there's research out there that links, using a lot of social media to depression? Absolutely. There's research out there that actually links social media to depression. Yeah, right. And there's other, very strong research out there that has linked social media to envy, lower self-esteem, and social anxiety. Yeah. And so part of you would think, well, if I just see people on social media, wouldn't it, help me get over social anxiety? For some, yes, and for some, no. And I get that envy thing because most of us, a lot of us just put the great things in our life out on social media. And it's easy to scroll through social media and say, everybody's got a perfect life but me. Yeah, it increases that envy, right? And so with so much social distancing and quarantining, is it really realistic just to say, I let go, I'm dropping all social media and I'm done? Can you imagine walking in and telling your boss, yeah, those Zoom meetings, I'm letting go of social media. I'm not Zooming anybody. I'm not reading email messages, not reading text messages. I'm off social media for the next month. Yeah. No, I probably not gonna work. Or can you imagine telling all your customers, I'm on social media for the next month? Send me a letter. Just mail me a letter, whatever you want. Just mail me a letter, and I'll correspond to you back in a letter, and we can handle things that way. What would your boss say if you said, I'm not doing social media, but you can write me a letter and I'll write you back? May not have that job for long, I'm thinking. Right. And if you are self-employed, you may lose a lot of customers that way. So we can't just toss the social media out the door. Like, don't toss out the baby with the bathwater. You just can't toss it out and say social media done, no more, finished. Now, there are some people who've been able to do that. I've known people to go on vacation for 2-3 weeks and the phones go in a lock, whatever, and they do no social media for those 2 or 3 weeks. Doable, but as an everyday thing during COVID-19, it's interesting to see how much we've come to depend upon it, right? And so if tossing it out the door completely is not an option, then what can we do? And that's why I'm here today, to share with you some things that you can do, right, to not just become dependent upon social media, but really so that you can manage your mental health, so you can manage that anxiety, and you can bring that, those stress levels down if you indeed are one of the persons who's seeing your frustration levels increase, the envy increase, the anxiety increase, sleeplessness increase because of social media, right? So number one, I want to talk about 6 things, right, that you can do to really downgrade the harm that social media causes in your life. So number one is just put a limit on where you use social media and when you use it, right? Start off with this, committing not to consistently, I have mine over here, right? And there was a time when I had a habit like every 2 or 3 minutes, and I realized, what do I need this for? It was a habit to just pick up the phone and look at it, read. Oh, didn't get any more email messages. Oh, no, knew this. But it literally was a habit. So really commit to not checking social media like while you're taking a meal with your family. Okay. And if you're Zooming, commit to not reading your social media while you're in a Zoom meeting. Oh, yeah, that. Okay. Commit to not, attending to your social media when you're playing with your kids or you're talking with your partner or talking with families, right? That's a start. That's a really good start. how I broke my habit was I told myself I need to get this project done. I'm going to work 25 to 30 minutes. And my reward after I work 25 to 30 minutes is I got to scroll social media for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I'd work 30 minutes, even if it buzzed saying there was a message, didn't look at it. I worked my 25 to 30 minutes. I scrolled, and then at that 2 to 3 point minute, I put it down and I went back to work. And I would not look at it until the next 25 to 30 minutes. It took me about a week, and I was able to break the habit of consistently looking at the phone. So you can do something like that. It's very helpful by just committing to putting a limit on when and where you use that social media, right? So the second thing that you can try is, that actually not try, but actually don't let social media replace real life interactions. Real easy to do. Okay. Don't let the social media become a substitute for like real life phoning people and talking to them, or with social distancing, your 6 feet distance, actually talking face to face with people, right? So the goal is to use social media as a side dish, and don't let it be your main entree when communicating with people, right? See how I did that? Because we know the entree is like the main part of the meal. There's some side dishes that you have, but the main part of the meal is the main part of the meal. The main part of the meal should be, if you're actually on the phone, you actually talk to people face to face using correct social distance and all that. Social media should be a side dish. If you want to send a little extra, do a little extra, kind of look at it like that to get it in perspective, so you're not replacing real life interactions with social media. Okay. Number 3, really pay attention to how you feel after you get done scrolling the social media, right? It's really good, to do it in just small spurts. If you're gonna look at social media like I did, like the 2 3 minutes, and if you're not there yet, that was kind of strict with 2 or 3 minutes, but you can do 10 minutes. I'm gonna use the social media for 10 minutes and then let it go. Then after you use the social media, be honest with yourself how you're feeling about that, right? Also, pay attention to things like, are you one of those people that you're doing those midnight rendezvous with your social media? You're like scrolling through, trying to get through all your Facebook, all those messages. Oh my gosh, oh, look at that video. Or Instagram, oh, look at that. Are you one of those people who spirals down that little hole and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, before you go to sleep, and then look at how you feel the next morning? Are you feeling groggy? Are you feeling a little attitudinal because now you're sleep deprived and you don't like nobody and anything all day long? If you are that person, then it's time to regroup. And again, you can go back to number. You can do it in spurts or go back to what I said before. I'm only going to check it here and put it away, because if it's affecting your attitude, it's causing you to get less sleep, and you're just overall unhappy, that means it's affecting your life and not in a good way. Correct? See how I did that? Because I know I say right a lot, so I'm trying to say correct. Whatever is possible, really focus your online interactions with people that you also know offline, right? I used to see younger teenagers, and I would get some of them in there crying because their friends were not their friends in real life. And I had to say, virtual friends are not the same thing as real friends, the ones you actually see, touch, feel, see them on the ground. And that's true for adults too. We forget that virtual friendship is not actually real friendship. It doesn't always equate. Sometimes it does, but not always. And so really, try to focus those online interactions with people you actually know for real in person. Okay. So number 4 is really approach social media thoughtfully. And this one really hits home for me. Are you like just scrolling social media because you're trying to avoid doing something, or you are trying to avoid somebody? And you kind of look at whether you got to do as unpleasant or whoever you need to see is unpleasant. And so you just start scrolling social media. And the next thing you know is 30 minutes in, 45 minutes in, 55 minutes in, an hour and 5 minutes in, because you're avoiding a task or a project, or you're trying to avoid someone. Gotta stop that stuff, right? Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. When you reach out, am I doing this to avoid something, to procrastinate and not do something? Be honest with yourself. Do whatever it is you need to do first, then reward yourself with the 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes of social media is the best way to get around that. Be conscientious about how often you using social media and whether or not you're trying to avoid doing something, because that's me. If I don't really want to do something, I'll find a reason to scroll Facebook or Instagram. So be honest, I am something. It's a work in progress, right? It is a work in progress, right? So this next one is interesting. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, restrictions were, a part of our lives. In other words, you messed up and you were put on restriction you didn't have access to. Oftentimes it was a restriction you couldn't go outside, or restriction you couldn't watch TV. Right? So the goal here is have restriction periods with your social media. Because what research has said that people that are able to cut out social media like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, when they cut it out for 5 days, the anxiety went down, happiness went up, depression went down, right? Yes. Now, some of you are going, it gives me anxiety to think about putting this down for like 5 days at a time. Well, you don't have to actually cut out for 5 days, right? Using Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat just 10 minutes a day for 3 weeks. If you can do that, it actually reduces your feelings of loneliness and depression. I think it's probably worth it. Now, it's difficult at first. If 10 minutes is too restrictive, give yourself an hour the whole day. So you can break that up in bits and pieces, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there, until you're able to do it for long periods of time. And then also keep a diary and keep track how your feelings are. Did your anxiety levels go down as you start reducing your use of social media? Did you feel less moody and depressed? Did you feel less frustrated? Did you kind of feel less everybody's out to get me? Because now you're getting enough sleep and you feel a lot better. Try it out. Put yourself on a diet, like a Facebook, social media diet, correct? And again, the goal is just to reduce use, not cut it out, get rid of it. Some people are able to just get rid of it. Oftentimes, just it's a harm reduction, right? Just reduce the use of it in your life. Okay. So number 6, and this is the last thing I have for you. If you've been out on social media for a while, be it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok is fairly new, you have likely picked up lots of followers and virtual friends that you really don't have many interactions with. You kind of peruse their Facebook post or Instagram posts every so often, but not that much. You really don't. So number 6 is thin out some of the hoard. I've seen people's pages, and they have and it used to be that you can, I think Facebook now limits you, but you used to have like 7,000 friends. Do you really know 7,000 people? Probably not. It's okay to go through and unfollow people, right? Really try to limit it to the people you have real interactions with. Okay, so it's nothing wrong with perusing through your contacts and then unfollow or thinning out the people that cause you anxiety, that post things that make you frustrated or that get you very angry or leave you feeling moody and depressed. Unfollow them. It's okay to unfollow them. They probably won't know. I mean, there are a few people out there who actually go through this thing where they get an app where they can see who unfollows them. That's probably not someone you probably want to be following with anyway, because that's a little deep. That's a little deep, right? But most people are not going to know you've unfollowed them. I know here in the past couple of weeks, I've unfollowed some people, several people, right? I looked at the post and thought, this is negative energy. Can't do this. Unfollow. Real simple, right? And where you will see the rewards with this is you will actually be calmer and your anxiety levels will be lower. And like I said, the person's not going to miss me. There are people who've unfollowed me. I know people have unfollowed me, but I don't have time in my life to be concerned about who unfollows me. It's not important. You can do the same, right? Because some of those friends are really not friends. They're just people on your page, okay? And a recent study found that information about the lives of friends on Facebook affected people negatively. because it's that comparison thing. We scroll through and everybody else's life looks perfect. And my husband and I just had a fight, my lover and I just had a fight, and they're got this perfect marriage and we're over here fighting. Then you feel bad because now you're comparing yourself to someone else. Comparison is a dream killer. Only compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to the people on Facebook or Instagram or anything else, because who knows whether or not all the stories are true anyway. But you make yourself feel bad when you think they are, right? And so, you're thinning out some friends. If you like to replace them, look to replace those friends with people who post healthy topics, and they're helpful, or they're healthy, or they're inspirational, because research says that those kind of sites do uplift you. You can also follow sites that do the inspirational posts every day, or find comedy sites that post funny things that make you laugh. Both of those things can reduce your anxiety and your stress levels, right? And they're probably less apt to give you burnout from scrolling through so much social media when you're looking at things that are inspirational, or you're looking at things that are funny and laughing, right? And so let me know which of these tactics you'll do first. I'm interested in knowing. I know people have gone cold turkey on social media. It's difficult now because, again, you just can't tell your boss, I'm not doing any Zoom meetings with you because I'm not doing any social media, but you can reduce use. Now, I wouldn't suggest that you quite do it at work, although I do know there are some companies that are meeting 3 or 4 hours a day on Zoom. Bless them. Bless them. But you may do some research and say, hey, I understand that social media contact actually raises anxiety level. Give them the research and let them look at it and decide maybe we shouldn't do 4-hour meetings on Zoom. Be careful with that, correct? Because you still need your job. I'm sure I know that I need mine. So be careful with that. But there's no harm done in getting the research and letting the research talk for you, right? So I do appreciate you for tuning in to my live today as I discuss 6 tools that you can use to reduce the effect of social media in your life, especially if it's causing you anxiety, frustration, and raising your stress levels. So for those of you who do watch on the replay, as always, thank you. I appreciate that. If you found the video helpful today, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and on my YouTube page, go ahead and subscribe while you're there. Even if you're watching me on Facebook, go to my YouTube and follow. I'm still trying to get enough follows on there to do some things on my cell phone with it, because YouTube changed your rules, but absolutely do that. And also join me here this Thursday at 6:30, right? 6:30 Eastern time, which is 5:30 Central time, and 3:30 Pacific Standard Time, and 8:30 in the morning for Sydney, and 11:30 at night UK time. This Thursday, I will be discussing how to reduce performance anxiety. What is performance anxiety, right? Those of you who stress out because you have to do a speech or talk in class or do a project, start a project, end a project, go to competition, sports athletes, anybody can have performance anxiety. So let's talk about how we reduce that on this Thursday. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me, and have a great